Yeah. So welcome all to the series of Upanishads for all. This is the fifth session which we are going to have now in few moments. And today's topic of discussion would be a very interesting topic, which is Prashna Upanishad. This Prashna Upanishad for managers and teachers. So I think as corporate managers, and also we are a part of the education industry as well. I'm really looking forward to listening fantastic inputs from Dr. Venkat Barla on this fantastic topic of Prashna Upanishad. Sir, over to you. Now it's 6:31 p.m.
Yeah, let me once again welcome all the friends, teachers, corporate executives, teachers of the teachers. Good evening to all of you. Let me begin. Now, I'll begin with as innovating from life. We are working in colleges, we are working in institutions, and many other places. We are having workplace problems because of some discontinuity or disruption or misalignment which is happening between ourselves and our external environment, be it boss, be it subordinate, peer groups, or anyone else in the organization, or within the family. We have a conflict because we really feel that somebody has talked something that is not according to my expectations. We have too many expectations. Therefore, we feel that the frustration is setting in, and therefore you must withdraw. So these kind of problems we have come across both in the organization as well as workplace and the home and society. Now, we would like to explore what is the solution for all this in the Upanishads, and we have come to the fourth Upanishad. This is session number 5, because in the first Upanishad we gave introduction. So this is session number 5. In this Upanishad, we are exploring the Prashna Upanishad, and we would like to see how this Prashna Upanishad can add some understanding to our problems so that we can relieve our stress and get some solace, some happiness, because we will attain higher understanding of ourselves and our people ahead. So that is the purpose of the session, and therefore it's good that we have all of us have joined here today. And let's look into Prashna Upanishad. Now, this Prashna Upanishad is coming to us from Atharva Veda, although the Upanishad has got some chapters from somewhere else in other Upanishads, or in other Vedas, but essentially a large part of Prashna Upanishad is coming from Atharva Veda. Now, Vedas were compiled long ago. They were Shrutis. Shrutis means the Divyavani, the wording which came to the Rishis and Maharishis from the heavens. So therefore, but although it happened long ago, but this particular Upanishad is the youngest one probably. It dates back to only about 50 to 100 years before Christ. We know that Gautam Buddha was born 500 years or 550 years before Christ. But this one was compiled, this was not even compiled at the time, this was compiled much later. So I read somewhere, I read in the text that it is dating back to 50 to 100 years in the first millennium before Christ. So this being the youngest, it's becoming more relevant to our human life, because it's only towards the period of Jesus Christ, or year 2000, year 0, year 1, 2000 years ago, that any serious society and life have started, and therefore that time this particular Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, has come into existence. Now, Prashna means question. Now, there are 6 questions in this Upanishad. 6 questions having sub-questions within them. So we will go to the sub-questions when each question comes. But at the moment, I would like to read out for you the 6 questions so that people who join later or people who quit in between would have a fair understanding of what is like we are reading a book and first we read the index. So let's read out those 6 questions. Now these questions were raised to a Mahamuni called Pippalada. There was a Mahamuni that time called Pippalada, and to this Mahamuni, some munis, some rishis called Katyayana, Bhargava, Sachdeva, Bharadwaja, Satyavrata, and Gudalna, these rishis had posed 6 questions to Pippalada, who was a Maharishi. Now, how Pippalada answered these questions is a very interesting story, and it has got a relevance to our work-life balance and corporate and domestic as well. Now, the first 3 questions relate to metaphysical understanding of the Parabrahman. The 4th question is a philosophy, and 5th question is about Om, the Mahamantra, and the last question is about attainment of moksha. Now these are the background of the questions, and the questions, I'm just reading out the questions one by one now. Question number 1, how did life begin? 2, what is a living being? What exactly is the living organism? Number 3, what is the nature of man and why it is so? Number 4, what establishes the man? What makes him the way he is? Number 5, what is the meditation of the Om and why? And number 6 and the last, what is immortality of man? How do you attain immortality? Now these are the 5 questions which I could cull out from the literature, and let's go back to question number 1. In verse 1.4 of this Prashna Upanishad, it was said that the Supreme Parabrahma created a male and a female. Male was in the ancient literature, ancient literature, it was called Riya. Riya is a feminine matter, and Prana is the male matter. The Parabrahma expressed himself or herself as Riya and Prana. Which one is first, which one is the next is not mentioned. But if you go to Christian mythology, it is Adam and Eve. There are Christian friends also in this forum, therefore I am just drawing analysis. In Genesis chapter 1, if we see, we find it is Adam and Eve later. In this Upanishad, equally, God has expressed himself in the form of Riya, the feminine, and Prana, the male. There was no physical manifestation by then. Let's not misunderstand. There was no physical manifestation. There's no body that we are seeing now. But his word, his expression just appeared as Riya and Prana. Now this Riya and Prana acquired the physical shape, the physical entity, maybe originally in the form of the earth, later in the form of the vegetation, much later in the form of creatures, living organisms, and so on. It all happened much later. Now, in question number 2, this was answered, so I will not hasten to answer question number 2 now. At the moment, we are at Riya and Prana. Now, what happened was the Prana was given the knowledge part of it. Knowledge part of it in the sense, the upper link of how it is and things like that. And the gunas through the sun have first reached the feminine. The gunas means the vasanas of this physical manifestation. Now we are talking of physical manifestation. When you talk of physical manifestation in this physical world, the supreme God those days was said to be the sun God. It is because of the sun God, the entire universe is acquiring expression, gunas, or some ability, some power to talk or to think or whatever. This came to feminine entity first, the Riya, and that's how slowly it all acquired. And good and bad in the Upanishad, it is written as a left or right. But if I translate to this, it's a good and bad. When Eva felt like eating that forbidden fruit, the whole thing started. Okay, she felt it was good. What do you mean by that word? She felt it was good. She got the thoughts of this physical world, these gunas came into her. Similarly, in the Prashna Upanishad also, through the sun, the gunas started sprouting in the human beings, and that's how the divide came as male and female. That's how the divide came as good and bad. Now the next question is, what is a living being? Now, in the first question, we are not a living being. We were only thought. We were only a notion. We were only a figment of the element or the small fraction or a dhuli of the Parabrahman. But now, after the sun, Pancha Bhutas and Pancha Pranas have started taking shape. This is the answer to the question, what is a living being? A living being is one which has got within itself Pancha Bhutas and Pancha Pranas. What are the Pancha Pranas? We had seen earlier. The air entrapped in the throat, in the chest, in the stomach, in the abdomen, and in the entire body. These are the Pancha Pranas, and because of them we are what we are. And within this body, which is a composition of the Pancha Bhutas. Now, what are the Pancha Bhutas? The air, water, fire, earth, and the cosmos. These are the Panchabhutas. Now these Panchabhutas mixed together to form a body, a living organism, a tree, a creature. And within that, these gunas were there, and gunas were fired by the sun. So what we started, from where we came from Parabrahma because of his Padadhuli, or because of his thought, because of his word. In Christian mythology, it is the word which existed first. He was the word, and the word was he. And with his expression, the word became his own image, which is the man. This is what the first chapter is telling us. Similarly, in the first part of this Upanishad also, we are discovering exactly the same similarity between the Bible as well as between the Vedas. Now, we have finished question number 1 and 2. Now, let's go to question number 3. What is the nature of man and how it happened so? By the word nature, what we mean is the further expression, the behavior, the thinking. No, from the first circle, we crossed the second circle. Now we came to the third circle. Third circle is human intellect. The third question, what we saw earlier, first and second Upanishads, if we look at, we recall, we studied about the 5 concentric circles. Now if we travel from the center is the Parabrahma, and from there we have come and so on. Now we, at the level of Riya and Prana, when we were not a physical entity, at that stage we were Atma. So in other words, the Parabrahma became human Atma. Then human Atma tried to acquire the gunas through the sun and Panchabhutas and Panchapranas. That's how the physical body emanated. So this is what we have very clearly understood. This is the Vedic interpretation. This is the Upanishadic interpretation. There can be several ways of science and people from biology background, people from philosophy background, people from Sanskrit background may have different interpretations, but ultimately all interpretations lead to Parabrahman, whichever name we call it in different faiths or different languages, because our language is very, very minor fraction of what we can express, we can describe, we can understand. So therefore, let us not think big about it, that what we know is very, very little. Within our physical, within our mental frame, within our circle number 3, 4, 5, that we are aware. And that's how the nature of man. So let us see what is the nature of man and how it is formed. Now this question, this particular question is again further subdivided into 6 bits, sub-questions. Let me read out those things also. Number 1, when is life born? How it entered the body? How does it abide in the body? How it goes out of the body? How life interferes with the nature and senses? How life and self interface with each other? Now, when life began, life as we understand in this dunya, it began when the mind started acting. What is the serial number of the mind? 4. Circle number 4, because 5 is the physical body ultimately. 1 is the one which is starting at the center. So now at this particular stage, when the mind formed, with the interaction of Panchabhutas and Pancha Pranas, the mind was born. When the mind was born, the human life is born. As until then, it was divine. It was Atma, and it was, we saw it earlier. At that stage, when the mind was formed, and what is the habit of the mind? Is to think. Mind always thinks. As it started thinking, we came into existence. Now, how it expresses in the body? Now, here in the commentaries written by further writers and sages, down up to Shankaracharya, Madhavacharya, and so on, and into the modern, a lot of English people, beautiful commentaries on. I think I found better than Indian writers. A lot of English writers have written wonderful commentaries on our Upanishads. So now they compared the human body to an organization. Now, organization is a triangular body, let us say. At the top you have chairman, the Parabrahman. Below him you have managing director, the Atman. Below that you have general managers, the senses, and you have human limbs, the carriers of the blood, the veins, arteries, thousands and thousands of arteries broken and sub-broken into smaller and smaller things. That's how the whole network of the human body and human biology came into existence. So the human biology is synonymous with the organization. Now, in the organization, what happens? The chairman thinks, is a think tank. He forms the policies and tells us what to do, how to do, through the managing director, through the Atman, and it comes down. If the communication downward and upward is unbroken, seamless, and if the entire organization works as a perfect whole without any fractures anywhere, that organization will be highly successful. Similarly, in our human body, if the downward communication, then our reach to the upward communication up to the Parabrahman, then we can live any number of years. When we can conquer death, more than 100 years. That's how rishis, Maharishis lived how many years? We don't know. In Vedic times and in biblical times, people lived very comfortably, hundreds of years, because they were able to integrate the upward and downward from Parabrahman to the Atman to the 5 senses and Panchabhutas and Panchapranas, and from Panchapranas you have flow into all your arteries through the blood, when that flows, that velocity, that communication, that realization flows, you have no ailments. You are a perfect material of the divine. You are a perfect divine material. But the problem is we have gunas. We have vasanas. These gunas and vasanas are disturbing the flow, upward flow and downward flow. In the organization also, this happens. That fellow is ready, that fellow is Naidu, this fellow is Kama, he is a Brahmin or a Chettiar. These kind of things make those subgroups exclusive and disconnected from the main organization, and therefore the disruption comes and the collapse of the organization begins. Organization may exist, may be making profit, but what is the impact of that on the work life of people? Why people are committing suicide? Why the genetic superiority of the IT sector people is coming down? They're earning profits. The organization is earning many times more profit. The toll is falling on the organization and on the employees. Now, how do you do that? Can you design an organization which is seamless? Those organizations which are able to design a seamless triangle are more successful. Abhishek, my son Abhishek is telling me that there is no organization in Uber. He's a scientist in Uber. The guy tells me that there's nobody. I mean, the chairman comes and sits with me, and he and I just talk as friends. It is the issue. It is the work. It is the target and result that we talk about. We don't talk of the power structures and feelings and emotions and things like it. He earlier quoted to me about the Apple organization, another beautiful organization. The Microsoft, wonderful organization. ITC in India, for example, is again a wonderful organization. So these are the organizations which were built, not entirely seamlessly, I would say, but their success is because of the total integration from upward and downward. As we would want this to happen within a human body, the upward connect to the Parabrahman through the Atman, and downward connect from Parabrahman through the Atman to the physical body, five senses, Panchabhutas, and our arteries, our blood flow, and everything. So we are talking of a similarity, and this is absolutely true to me, and it's a great realization that I have experienced after long years of working in corporate, that I was missing this understanding for long years when I was young, and that's how I'm sure the youngsters, if any in your homes, you transmit this knowledge to the youngsters, I'm sure this will be a great realization to them. Now let's go to question number 4. What establishes man? What makes the human body, the organization structure, divine organization structure within the human body, what it makes? We've already touched upon this in question number 3 just now. It is the Parabrahma which operates everything, and he has got a an assistant or a managing director. His name is Manas, M-A-N-A-S, Manas. Manas means the entity through which Parabrahma expresses himself. Manas is not a human body having Panchabhutas and Panchapranas. No, he doesn't have our kind of Panchabhutas and Panchapranas. He is above that. He can be understood as a sum total of all Atmas of living beings. Now, there is Atma in me, there is Atma in you. There is Atma in this 7 billion people on the earth. There is Atma in all the living beings, trees, all this on this earth and elsewhere in the cosmos. If we sum up all that, integrate 0 to n is equal to 1 to infinity. If you do that, what you will get, a sum total of all our Atmas, is called Manas. Manas is the managing director of the chairman, the Parabrahman. He would express himself as Manas, and Manas is subdivided into Atmas. Atma has a physical nature subsequently, and all that we have seen. So it is Atma versus it is Manasa, M-A-N-A-S, Manas versus the Paramatma that happens. Now, how it happens? Now we are having our daily activity. We are sleeping sometime, we are awake, and we are somewhere in between. In all these avasthas, we are going through. But when it's like how the Manas controls our Atmas, the way it happens in a parade ground. On January 26th, if you go to parade ground, all the school children form into a big ring. They come together, make a triangle, make a small circle, then go back again. They would again come back. The Manas is expressing itself during daytime fully in some other way, withdrawing during night time, so that a minimal Panchapranas work. So it's written very clearly in the text that the expression is not constant. If the expression is constant like a straight line, then we would not have these emotional changes. We would not have this Swapna Jagru Sushupti kind of avasthas. No, we would not have all those things. All the guna, all the activities, human activities, the phases that we undergo during daytime, nighttime, emotional catharsis, and all these kinds of things are happening because Manas is playing differently, like children in parade ground. He would zoom in and zoom out, zoom in and zoom out, kind of jhula, which happens. That's the way the Manas functions, because it is the expression of the Supreme Brahman. It's a Leela. The why Leela? It's a nature of the Supreme Brahman that we saw earlier. That Leela becomes Maya because of the materialistic stuff that we are into. We are not able to understand the perfect Leela of the Brahman, Supreme Brahman. Therefore, we are and we have all these problems. So this zoom in and zoom out kind of activity which happens is what establishes man. What keeps the human as human, what keeps the human activity the way it is, all the kinds of avasthas, the speech, the activity, the thought, all that we have is acquiring because of the Leela and its Leela's implications and impacts on the subsequent rings and vyavasthas, the systems and subsystems within the human body. Therefore, it all happens. Now, these questions, all this happens, I explained, this Leela, which I explained, is asked in question number 4 as 5 sub-questions. What sleeps in man? It is a manas which goes off, which subsides. It's not, it doesn't go out, but it withdraws sometimes. What is awakened when it sleeps? It's a panchapranas which are awakened. When we sleep in a deep sleep and when in slumber, your life goes on. Your heart functions and all the organisms function, but then they are subdued. They are subdued. The cells undergo rest. They are subdued because the power within you, that manas activity is little subdued, little withdrawn. Therefore, it gives rest to the physical body. So let's say physical body and metaphysical body separately. Metaphysical body made of Atman and Parabrahman. Physical body made of all our organs and our body. When the metaphysical little subsides, you get rest for the physical entity that you are. Which Deva, which God gives dreams. It is the manas. It is your experience, your carry forward from previous janams, your thoughts. When the active Atman is withdrawn during sleep, but those reminiscents, what remains, remainder, traces, the shades of those active things which you had when we were awake, those things intermingle and they appear as dreams. It is manas only. It is coming out of manas only, but then those are while in the process of withdrawal, there are some figments, traces lying here and there, those thoughts, those experiences, those memories, they interplay and we experience dreams. This is the explanation given in the text, in the commentary of Upanishads. Now, on what is all this founded? All this organization that we talked about, organization within your human body or organization elsewhere, it is founded on Parabrahman. Ultimately, the bedrock on which it all stands is Parabrahman. That is for question number 4. Now, let's come to question number 5. What is meditation? Simply said, in our day-to-day language, meditation is chanting of Om, Aum, or in different faiths, it may be different. And there are 3 stages through which it happens. Now, when you chant Om and go on chanting thousands and thousands of times, you will liberate the Atman from this physical body. It travels towards Paramatman and you become selfless. you become thoughtless. That is state of thoughtlessness that we talked of earlier also. But then in this question, what is meditation and why meditation? In this question, the Om is divided into 3 syllables, A-U-M. A is the physical. When you travel from the physical, you are pronouncing A. In Telugu it is, in Tamil it's A, or A in English, whatever it is. The first one represents your presence in the ground level, in this physical body, in this physical world. You traverse to A, come to you, then you go to Atma level, go to the next. That is the boundary of the physical and metaphysical. You have crossed, you've entered the beginning of metaphysical, you are it, you. And thereafter M, you get into the further down into towards Parabrahman, that is. Yeah, so that's how it is. Om is pronounced. It is not as simple as as I said, you don't ask me, sir, you already pronounced Om, have you reached Parabrahman? No, it is billions of times, thousands of times that you need to chant and chant until you forget this physical world. Thoughtlessness occurs. When thoughtlessness occurs, you are merged into Atman and Paramatma. That's how this question number 5 on meditation was answered. Now the last question, what is immortal in man? Ultimately, what is immortal in man? There was a prince, there's a small story in this. There was a prince who asked a student, after all, where is that person? Where is that I in me? The student said, no, Swami, I don't know. He told simply, the student, like usually the students say, he said, I don't know. Then the question was posed to Rishi Pippalada. Pippalada answered that there is a 16-part presence of Parabrahman in you. Sodasin, Sodasin, S-O-D-A-S-I-N. S for sugar, S-O-D-A, yes, S for sugar, I-N. Sodasin is a 16-part presence. The divine sits in us. But then, what are these 16 parts is not given in the commentary of Prashna Upanishad. That is still mystic. That is still to be researched. But if any commentaries anywhere, much deeper understanding is there, we can see this in question answers. But here at the end of the question number 6, it was very clearly stated that the Parabrahma wanted to create his own image in man, not this physical body. The Parabrahma wanted, that's why in Christian mythology also we say he created man like himself in his own image. He created his presence in us, the Parabrahma's presence in us through our Atman is like him only. We have not seen, we don't know what it is. It is unseeable, we can't see it, we can't feel it, we can't pray, we can't describe. We can only pray to the intermediate gods whom we have created with our understanding. But this particular one, but it is through meditation that you experience the bliss, Paramanandam. Our ancient people used to say Paramanandam. Okay, bliss, B-L-I-S-S, bliss. You experience that because you are not having any of these worldly vasanas or feelings or physical presence, and you have been able to chant Om for thousands and millions of times, and you continued like that. There were people who made meditation for longest periods, for years. They used to do earlier in ancient times and Vedic times. Now we are not able to do for half an hour also. That's how it is. But then in our world as well, there are people who have meditated. That's how the English people have crafted the transcendental meditation. Now, transcendental meditation, what we mean is the chanting of a particular figment. It is Jesus, it is Ram, it is Aum, whatever it is, you take it, or you say 1, 2, 3, and keep on doing it for millions of times. Then you will forget this world and enter into the other world. So we are, the answer for that 16-part presence. What are 16 parts? We don't know. But answer for that is, the question is, what is immortal? You will leave this body. You will leave this body. Your Atma leaves this body and enters the Paramatman. And the more you live there, the more is immortal. More you are immortal. Immortality is not there elsewhere in the sky or in the cosmos. The time, minutes, hours, years, yugas, that you are without physical presence, without vasanas and physical nature, that is immortal. Nothing else. We need not think immortality is elsewhere and Parabrahma is elsewhere. Immortality, Parabrahma, Brahma, everything is in your body temple. This temple houses all these things. And the Leela, the expression keeps on happening. It zooms in and zooms out. It plays, it enjoys, and everything keeps happening. And if we understand this, and we are already in the aeroplane 34,000 feet above the ground. With this understanding, fortunately we are participating in this session today, and with this you elevate yourself to that plane I talked about when I said Himalaya looks like a tiny tot when you look from the window of the aircraft. Put yourself in the window of the aircraft and see the problems of the organization, of the human body, of the family, of the society, brothers and sisters and brothers, whatever it is. It just looks different, looks surmountable. That's how the talk today, and thank you very much, Mr. Niranjan. This was a wonderful experience for me to summarize the 6 questions, and it's very limited time. Within this limited time, it's very difficult to summarize to the truest level of the commentary, but within the English that we know, within the language, within the thought that we have, we are able to capture. We should not think that we have understood the 6 questions. We have touched. We have got a feel. Sprushinchinamo. We have just felt the 6 questions and 6 answers. And as we learn more and more more of these things that we study. Upanishads completely. Upanishad, there are 106, there are 200 odd Upanishads. We have begun and we are traveling. We would like to finish 10 and go over to others and so on. At least the first 10, let's finish and go to the 30th and things like that. So with that, by the time we would be able to, able to get a better understanding. But I'm happy that we are able to see this understanding today. Thank you very much, Mr. Niranjan. Over to you. Please take over and take the questions.
Thank you, Dr. Venkat Barla. I think, like you rightly pointed out, we are short of two things. One is time, and the second one is the scope of the language, what we want to share about the Prashna Upanishads, because this is a, like you rightly pointed out, it's a very deep science, and we were able to touch at the top levels. At least we know what are the kind of quality questions that are being asked by the students to the qualified teacher like Pipaladi. So, for example, it's a very good thing, sir, to bring to our notice the kind of 6 questions which we might want to ask, ponder, and then do our own research studies further into the deep aspects of Prashna Upanishad. It was very well touched on the subject, and I think the comparison which is there with the corporate world as a structure of the chairman as a Parabrahma, the Manas as a managing director, and rest of the other things, all the other sub levels of the structure of the corporate was very well defined. It was nice. So let's look for the questions. Of course, Dilip Garu is having certain things, some notes and other things, where he has touched on the 16 points of the Shodashi, which is 16 parts. Mr. Dilip Garu has touched on it in the chats there. And we have Sujata, who is asking a question which is there from N. Sujata. Is immortality not assuming physical body of any form? That's the question from Sujata Garu.
Thank you, Madam Sujata Garu. Dr. Sujata Garu, she is a Sanskrit Pandit. She has been a great scholar. She is giving our next week session on 20th. She is giving the next Upanishad. Thank you, Madam, that you are here. The question is wonderful, and the question relates to all of our doubts. This human body is perishable. It might live 100 years, 200 years, depending on how perfect you are in your organization within or organization outside. This body is certain to perish. The immortality you will attain as you travel towards Atman and Paramatma. That is the immortality we are talking about. We are not talking of the immortality of the Panchabhutas or the body, the biological body. Within that, there is that your Atman is there. When that merges with Paramatman, you have attained immortality. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very nice, sir. So we can look for a few more questions because we have some time for us to discuss, and we can have a very nice, purposeful and meaningful dialogue here. Dr. Venkat Barla is here. We have a very learned audience here. Any of us can share their thought process on this. Now, the important aspects, some of the things which probably we might want to understand is the application of each of these Upanishads in our personal and professional lives. I think that's the one of the focus what we want to bring in to our understanding. Of course, it could also help us in our spiritual and religious practices or purposes. So, welcome for questions. Please shoot.
Yeah, I think Jayalakshmi Madam wants to say something. Thereafter, Mr. Dilip wants to say something. Let us call upon Madam Jayalakshmi Garu and Mr. Dilip. First, Jayalakshmi, please.
Hello, sir.
Haan ji, boliye.
Sir, actually there are four Vedas, na? Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, Samaveda, and there are four Mahavakyams. That is for this Rig Veda, Pragyanam Brahmam. That is one Mahavakyam for one Veda. Then Aham Brahmasmi for another one. Then Tatvamasi. Then I am Atman Brahman. These are the four Vakyams of the four this thing.
Correct.
So you said that AUM, Om. Is it that Tatvam Asi the same as what you said for AUM, which is the Mahavakya of Samaveda?
Om.
I just
मैं आंसर करता हूँ. Let me answer. Om is there even before Vedas were born. Vedas were born out of Om. Then from Om, those four Mahavakyas and their interpretations came. So it is the Om first. It is the word that existed, that Om that existed, from which everything, Om or the word or Father in heaven or Parabrahman is one and the same. They are not different. When the Father in heaven or when Om or Parabrahman, which are identically equal, when they expressed, when they spoke, the Vedas came into existence, or the word came into this world. This came into this world in the form of the Divyavani, which rishis heard and wrote these Shrutis in different faiths and different languages. This is subsequent story. What existed before was the word, and that is nothing but Om. Thank you, madam. बहुत ही अच्छा लगा. Good question. दिलीप साहब बोलिए.
thank you, sir.
Dilip Garu, kindly.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, those 16 parts, I have come across some commentaries in which they describe those 16 parts as life, knowledge, air, wind, light, water, earth, sense, mind, food, vigor, austerity, revelation, karma, world. Those are and names. Those are the 16 parts of the what you had.
Sodasin.
Yeah,
Sodasin.
the 16 parts which you had described. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Please go ahead.
that is exactly what I was trying to tell, and it's there in the Prashna, basically 16 parts. What it says is that God and his 16 phases are in this body.
Yes.
God thought to himself, what is that which compels me to go if it goes, and it compels me to stay if it stays. He then created life, from life knowledge, from knowledge air, from air wind, from wind light, from light water, from water earth, from earth sense, from sense mind, from mind food, from food vigor, from vigor austerity, from austerity revelation, from revelation karma, from karma world, and from world the names. So when the rivers mingle with the sea, they lose their names and shapes, and people speak of the sea only. So these 16 phases, when they mingle with the God, lose their names and shape, and people speak of God only. Man becomes phaseless, timeless. That is what God is, like a hub of wheel, where 16 phases are the spokes. and that's basically the explanation in one of the commentaries which I had come across on this particular point, which I thought I would share it with you.
No. It's excellent. Very kind of you, Dilip Garu. If you can kindly share it in the WhatsApp or in the group,
I
all the
will.
members make a note of it, and then make further studies on that, and then we can continue our debate.
Sure, fantastic. I think Anand has raised his hand. May I request Anand to pose his comments or questions? Anand, over to you.
Thank you, Niranjan. Good evening, Niranjan and Venkat Garu.
Yeah, very happy.
So, my question is of two questions. I have two questions. Both are related. One is basically it's Atman and Paramatman. Okay, Atman and Parabrahma. Which is the one is the there is a father and son, right? There's a relationship between father and son. Okay. Pardon my voice. I have some sore throat. So there is a father and son. Okay, the father has got the son. If the son is an Atma and father is Parabrahma, there is a beautiful relationship of duality. But then if you're merging, the son merges with the father. The merging of the Atma merges with the Parabrahman. That is another state of moksha, right? So one question is, which is the ultimate thing? Because from the Advaita concept and from the Dvaita concept, there are two different schools of thoughts. What I read is from the school of thought which I come from, like Dvaita, even in the Bhagavad Gita, what I understood is like the soul is eternal. A soul will always maintain its identity and will always have a relationship with the Parabrahman. It doesn't want to lose the identity, because once you lose the identity, the beautiful relationship of father and son is lost. So that is the point I want to ask. Which is the ultimate, what is the thing which we should aspire for? Venkat Garu.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Good evening to you. Nice question. Little deeper question. Thank you very much. It is this kind of discussion that enhances our knowledge. We are so thankful to you for asking this. Now, what happens is that after you finish your all the janams, at least in Hindu mythology, we know that you undergo several Yededu Janmalu, 7 janams that you finish, and finally you will merge into the Parabrahman. Now, Atma, that is why the Dvaita and Advaita came. When Advaita came in, when Shankara's Advaita came in, he said, I am no different, I am one and the same. Before that, Madhavacharya said Dvaita. It is Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is the Parabrahman. Prakriti is his managing director or his replication, from which that is split into Atmans of your Atma, my Atma, and so many Atmas which are integral, I say. So ultimately, after finishing all your worldly activity and then all the janams and so on, ultimately it will merge into the Parabrahman. You will merge into Parabrahman. Okay. Until then, we talk of both Dvaita and Advaita. So that's why I said it's better that we adopt both Dvaita and Advaita and lead our life instead of believing one. The second question is always open. It keeps bothering you. If you believe Dvaita Siddhanta, then what about Advaita Siddhanta? Then it bothers you. If you believe Advaita only, then Dvaita will bother you. Both exist. Both exist. And the beauty is, both exist as one. Both exist as simultaneously. They are no different. They are just, it's only expression. It's like, in teletransportation, you are here as well as there. And you are at third place and fourth place and so on. And if you take several images of yourself, If you go to Prem Nagar movie, you find the heroine in different glasses, she will find her own image. It's like that expression only. Ultimately, you go into a room and stand with all the mirrors around. You are in all the mirrors. Your several images are there. It doesn't mean that you are different. You are one. But you are there, you are here, and that's why the Parabrahman is one. But he is there as Atman of yours, mine, and so on. They're all mirror images, expressions. Because that is his Leela and that is his nature. So both exist, both coexist, and both are not different. It's like saying two sides of the same coin. One can't exist without the other. If you remove the spokes, the wheel is gone. Wheel doesn't move. I mean, you cannot imagine a wheel without spokes and the rim. Something like that. We are trying to understand in that way. But then it helps us to think better. Thank you very much, Anand Garu.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat Garu. Actually, just want to add one point here. I hope you would have read the literature from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Have you read some literature, sir?
Yeah, not in this series, but yes, I've read it earlier, much earlier.
Yeah, because your explanation is perfectly in synchronization with what he has said. Because this debate was going on, but which is correct, Advaita and Dvaita, and he has formulated this philosophy called Achinta Beda Beda Tattva, which is actually he said both are correct simultaneously, and everybody were perplexed and they wanted to know how both Advaita and Dvaita is can be true simultaneously. Then he said, Atman is qualitatively one with Paramatman. In the quality, we are same as God, but quantitatively, we are different. So that way, he satisfied both the philosophies, sir. So,
Absolutely
thank you.
correct.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dilip Garu has something to comment. Please, Dilip Garu. You need to unmute yourself.
I think the philosophy, this is my view basically, this is what my understanding is. We are all lost in words actually. And as Barla Garu also has said in the beginning that the language which we know has got a lot of limitations in terms of we are trying to explain something in the physical sense, something which is boundless, limitless, which has got no boundaries, and so on and so forth. But here, the philosophy of Dvaita or Advaita, it arises from the fact that we have a body and we have these senses and we have the mind. Okay, when the body is gone, all these three things are gone. How would you, and then the sense of separation is not there. There is no then, now, there is no here, there is no time, there is no concept of space, is lost. So you cannot describe, then there is no duality at that point in time. This is what my understanding is. I don't know how far I'm true or am I totally getting it wrong, but when I don't have senses, I don't have eyes, or I can't hear anything, or I can't touch anything. I don't have sense of touch. How would I know that the sense of time? How would I know the sense of space? How would I know here and there? I would not know. So when the body is not there, physical sense is not there, then these things, duality doesn't carry any meaning. Everything is non-dual in that case. Somebody had asked this question, I think it was Madam Jayalakshmi or somebody had asked this question, that immortality, and there is no you and me. Who gains immortality? Who is that person? You cannot define that person. When you gain immortality, you and me is not there. Who is getting? When you have a body, then you can say you and me, because a blind man, for example, he can only comment upon his boundary by touching him or by touching others. So sense of touch is there important. But suppose sense of touch is not there, feel is not there, eyesight is not there, hearing is not there, then there is no you and me. Everything is me. This is my, I don't know, maybe Dr. Venkat can correct me if I'm going wrong somewhere.
Thank you, Dilip Garu. It's a much elevated question again. We have, as you said, we have very limited wordings. This language, which is invented by us, fabricated by us, is only a small fraction. It's not even one. It's 1 by 1 million, kind of. Now, just because you can't describe the duality or non-duality doesn't exist. As per our current understanding and as per the Vedas, as per this Upanishad, the duality and non-duality exists. Dvaita and Advaita both exist. We have no reason to disbelieve them. Let us accept both Dvaita and Advaita. Having accepted that, when we migrate from this physical body, there are no concepts of time and distance at all. I mean, the time is invented by us, distance is invented by us. In the Leela of the Parabrahma, these things do not, he doesn't know these words. It's all one continuum which is happening and happening. Your Atma, Dilip's Atma, D1 or D7, D1, D2, D3, D7, let us say if you have 7 janams, the D1, D1, finally the D is gone and merged into that. First it's merged into your Atma, your physical thing is, you migrated and you've gone into the Atman, your Atma has gone into Paramatman. And finally you finished all your iterations, reached there. But it is good for us to accept the duality and non-duality. Otherwise, the understanding of the Supreme Conscience becomes difficult. For now, the current knowledge dictates that we must go by this Dvaita and Advaita philosophy, because all other theories, the Bible is talking about the same thing. Exactly, it is talking about the same thing. When Jesus Christ came into this world, he came as the Son of God. He became Son of Man. And when he ceased to be Son of Man, he ascended and he became one with the Father. So that's how it happens. So therefore, we are seized. The question that Mr. Dilip asked is concerning this physical world and migration to the non-physical world. And when you migrate, nothing exists. So let's not bother about the time, space, distance, and duality, non-duality. Let's not bother about those things. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right, sir. So I think it was a wonderful dialogue there. But like for us as practicing managers and individuals who are there, who are aspiring to growth in terms of personal being and a professional lifestyle, it's good that we take baby steps. Small steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start doing our own research and our own practices, such that we understand the deeper essence of each of the every statement that we are discussing right now. It has to be experienced at both our the different levels, like what Dr. Venkat Barla was also highlighting last time. We need to understand this at the level of our physical body. We need to understand and experience it at the level of our emotional body, our panchakoshas, whatever is existing. We need to understand and experience this in each and every levels of these particular aspects. Otherwise, understanding Brahma or Parabrahma or Atma, it's quite a tough task. What we want to understand here is, how do we learn? What are the techniques that are involved? What are the principles that are involved? And then we want to put them into practice baby steps, small steps. Maybe we want to start with two things, like I think one of the madams there very nicely, she has presented it, where she was saying that bhakti is kind of a Advaita, and with Advaita you want to go, it's like a Jnanam, where you come and then merge into the things. It's like the internet also of things, IoT of things, what we are talking about. There are so many things which are existing as different objects and having their own functions, but ultimately they converge into the common intelligence which is existing as IoT of things also are happening. Now we have Dr. Iyer Garu who is being waiting with a question. May I ask Mr. Iyer Garu, please, PR Iyer Garu, to raise your question, please. May I ask you to unmute, sir? Iyer Garu, you are there?
Yeah, in the meantime, I think Jayalakshmi Madam also wants to speak. If Iyer Garu is coming later, then you can also ask Jayalakshmi Garu to talk.
Yeah, sure. So Jayalakshmi Garu, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Yeah, yeah, can you hear me?
Can.
Yeah. Basically, I feel that meditation is nothing but concentration, and we just focus on our forehead, and we need to keep our system, that is our brain, totally blank, and that is not easy because we keep on human mind keep on thinking some or the other thing. So to keep our mind blank while focusing on our forehead, so at the time people they suggest like to keep our mind blank, it's not easy, so we can chant Om focusing on the forehead, or we can chant Gayatri mantra, or some people they are just they have gurus and who just teach them the mantra, and while doing the meditation they just follow them. So it's basically even for 1 or 2 seconds or 4 seconds, not even for 15 or 20 minutes, just a matter of just few seconds, if we completely concentrate on the forehead, keeping ourselves completely blank and chanting Om or something like that, the vibration, it completely goes, you can feel the vibration even when you meditation, you can feel the vibration within yourself, and that you can feel the bliss, and that it gives a lot of happiness, and I really feel that everybody needs to meditate. Even if you go to doctor, they prescribe the meditation thing, and this is very important for each and everybody, and I am really happy for these types of session. It's very, very interesting, and we need to we get a chance to learn many things. Really very happy with these sessions. I'm thankful to you.
The only question
Really thankful to
is,
you.
Haji, it is possible to meditate.
Mm.
There are evidences that transcendental meditation or any kind of meditation is possible when you chant that particular word millions of times. You migrate from the physical world to the thoughtless state. This is a proven theory. There is no dispute about it. A lot of people in the last 100 years or 200 years have also shown, and much earlier also have shown. When I was studying my MBA in first year, at the end of first year, we were about to go for summer vacation and a project. Then there was a 1-week training on transcendental meditation. That person came, made us sit, okay, and then gave us this thing and asked them to sit. In that brief period itself, I had my first experience as a young boy that I had a time, a brief moment, maybe a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes of thoughtlessness. I myself recall. And every day when you do your puja also, when you keep on chanting the mantras, you feel, because this mind, it focuses, when you repeatedly saying one thing, it focuses on that. That's how the whole thing works. Even the guys who are, this technique of taking people into different world. For a moment, if you go to Singapore and those areas, there are certain events where you are taken to a room and then you are given certain thing to repeat, and he would repeatedly say that, and then you go into different thing and do what he wants you to do, kind of. So it is possible to migrate the mind. It is possible to facilitate the mind to forget the physical world and thoughts. It is proven. Thanks for the remembrance. Thank you, ma'am.
Fantastic. I think Premalata Nammigaru has something to comment. May I request Premalata Garu to unmute and then say your thoughts, ma'am?
Iyer Sahab has come, Mr. Iyer?
Oh, not yet, not yet. So that's the reason.
Okay,
may I request Premalata Garu to share her comments? Premalata Garu, you are there?
Yeah, you can go to the next one.
She was just not here. Okay, వారు ఏం కామెంట్ చేశారంటే she has written in yeah, she's there. Premalata Garu, చెప్పండి.
Yeah, whenever we work in an organization, we definitely try to be very sincere and honest. And if you are totally engrossed in your work and at the same time, if your mind is always concentrating on God, He will guide us, like in our work, and whatever we do will be successful.
Fantastic. I think it's a good thought that one has to have a combination of the bhakti approach and the karma aspects, where they are fulfilling their activities in the organization as well as at their home, both personal as well as the professional. It's very nice, ma'am. So I think Iyer Garu is not yet here. Anybody has any questions, please ask. Now it is 7:53. We will try to close the session by about 8 p.m. So you have any questions? It's a welcome.
I have one comment to add to Premalata Garu's observation about the karma and bhakti. When you are working in an organization, if your organization is seamless, in the inverted commas meaning of the seamless that we talked about, you will forget everything. Bhakti is always there in you. We do not have to see karma and bhakti as separate. Bhakti is there in every atom, every cell, and every DNA of yours. Because it is relating to the soul and super soul. It is embedded into your cells. With the language that we have, we are trying to see the divine as a separate entity. That is wrong. We should not see the divine or bhakti as something definable, something different, and therefore I have karma, I am in the office, so let me concentrate, and so on. I think the language is not becoming sufficient to explain this meaning, but the point is that bhakti is always there. Okay, whether you feel it or not, whether you do it or not, whether you do puja, whether you do prayer or not, the divine is always there in you. It is your human activity in this physical world that you are trying to do puja and you are trying to do something. It is only a fraction of this thing only. You forget about it. He is always there in you. He is there in a criminal also, serial killer also, rapist also. He is always there because he is that. It is the Satan or Satan which expresses differently. Therefore, he is doing all those things and you are doing all the other things and so on. These are all human activities, and related to the work that you do daily. This is nothing to do with the omnipresent, with the complete immersion that he is in you. He is always there. He is always there. It is for you to realize and minimize your human activities and your papas or your Satan, so that you travel towards him. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Swarna Garu is here. I would like Swarna Garu to speak. Her father was my friend, my guru. So therefore, whenever
Hello.
I see Jesus.
Hello, Andy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, ma.
Okay. I'm just listening to you all very keenly. And I enjoyed the session, of course. But how to focus on God? How to concentrate and how to, without diversions, how to concentrate on the center of the mind? That's my question.
I understand. If you make effort to concentrate, you will not concentrate. What you must or we must think is that you are in this world. It's like, again, I come back to N.T. Ramarao Garu being Lord Krishna on the stage. Okay. When he is Lord Krishna, he is forgotten that he is the husband of Taraka Madam.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember his home, his wife, his children, nothing. He has already migrated into what is called Lord Krishna. Now, similarly, if you do all your work with a conviction, with a belief that you are detached from all these things, I am doing it, it is my duty, I am doing it, and I will do it well. I have to do it for my wife, my boss, my super boss, and my subordinates. I have to do this, I will do it well. But however, this is duty. However, I belong there. All this is temporary. If you are a watchman in a house, do you feel that the house is yours? No, you are a watchman. You just do your duty. Close the door, open the door, Namaste Sahab, all that you do and finish it and go home. Similarly, you do this watchman's job in this Janam and go home and meet your Father in heaven. As simple as that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Never try to see these things separately. No, I'm here at 5:30 p.m. I'm meditating. I will concentrate. No, you will not be able to concentrate. Meditation is 24 hours, 365 days. Okay, you go and sit down there and chant for 100, 200 million times, and then you migrate into that. It's an event. But I'm saying, He is always in you. You are that only. Therefore, where is the question of non-meditating? You're always meditating. You're meditated. You're meditated. Totally. You are doing this duty because it's your watchman duty, your Lord Krishna play, or your doing it well, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
May I add a few points here, because I think this is one of the very common questions where many of us have. How do I concentrate, or how do I meditate? We have to understand the technique of our awareness. So when we bring this awareness that I want to meditate, that's the technique. The moment you think that I want to meditate, your body starts working in the direction. The first thing that happens is it is in the thought. I am thinking about my home, like if my home, now I'm trying to meditate on my home. I want to make some money. I am meditating on making money and thinking on those lines. Thinking. The first thing in the meditation process is the Teva process. We call it as the Teva process. There are so many techniques which are available, but the simplest one is the Teva process. The moment you apply this as a technique in your life, you automatically start meditating. Forget about focus and forget about the 100% concentration on one element. This technique is called as the Teva technique. That means, say, we focus first on a thought. The thought could be internally your own thought processes. Say, for example, you want to have a good health. It's a thought. You want your husband to have a good health, or your children to be studying good. It's a thought. You start meditating on it. You start working on it, and because the Paramatma is already there within, it starts giving you the output results. The way you start your meditation, your thought processes, because it's a sequence of things. It's like running a movie. It's a sequence of things, because you're not trying to focus on one element, one word, or one thing. Those things are becoming as your concentration. But as you move forward, you will intensify your meditation techniques. You will intensify your meditation techniques, where you try to come, though the movie is running, you focus on one screen at a time. You will focus one screen at a time, and the power of that thought in that moment really amplifies for you to start working to the next level. So from in the Teva process, from the thought, you come to your emotions. You'll start observing your emotions at the same instance. This thought, is it giving me pleasure? This thought, is it giving me pain, for example? This thought at the emotional level, what is happening? From emotional level, you will work on your expressions. You'll start working on your expressions. From the expressions, you start pronouncing your words, which is the first physical manifestation of yourself. The first physical manifestation of yourself in the form of the words. The next immediate thing happens is your actions. So with this kind of a train which is happening in the form of a Teva, which is thoughts, emotions, expressions, words, and actions, it naturally happens. This happens like what Venkat Barla was saying. It happens on almost 24 hours, even if I'm sleeping, because he is still awake. You are still awake. So while you are sleeping also, you can meditate. It becomes like your breath. It becomes like your breath. Anything that you're focusing, it starts coming in front of you in the form you are trying to meditate. So that's how we start moving from meditation to concentration. Don't worry about concentration first. First, bring the awareness to the thought. That's a first step. Simple techniques. Probably you can try and then share your experiences. Once you find some interesting things, please do share. Swarna Garu, whenever you have such kind of opportunity of bringing your awareness to your thoughts and your emotions, expressions, your words and your actions, you will find it very comfortable to move your journey in that direction. Yeah. So it's about 8:04 now. Sir, any other questions we can take, and then otherwise we can close the session. We'll again meet on 20th.
Hanji Saroj Singh, boliye, Mr. Saroj Singh.
Yes, Saroj Singh, he has a question. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is conscious and unconscious mind, sir? In which stage it happens? Like conscious, we are conscious, we are unconscious.
Saroj madam, actually it's like this, the human mind is divided into conscious and subconscious. Conscious is the one, it relates to the biology of the mind. It doesn't relate to the divine. It's a physical activity. lot of our memory. It's like in a computer, you have a memory. Okay, now the fast memory, the quick memory is stored at one place, and the permanent memory is somewhere else. ROM and RAM. Now, random access memory is something which is immediately there, which is limited, which is also like the top of the mind recall things, the immediate requirements your mind keeps in the top layer, and everything else goes into the bottom layer of the mind. And in the bottom layer, the forgotten ones, the ones which are completely unknown to you about yourself, is subconscious mind. Now, what happens is these elements, memories, facts, which are there in the conscious mind, they have roots in the subconscious mind, because it occurred and you had stored and forgotten about it. That is why when you ask a boy, do you love her? Yes, sir, I love her like hell, and I just can't live without her. But why do you love her so much? When I ask, no, sir, I don't know. This answer, I don't know, came because he is unable to find the root where it triggered between them. But he is only operating from the ROM, read-only memory, random access memory. That is how it happens, and it all relates to our neurons, the mind, the physical mind only. Each neuron is like a record, like a CD, and you write and rewrite and recall. And there are some facts which are not recollectible that we are calling it as subconscious. But it depends how much of the fast memory you have, how much of dead memory that you have. It depends on person to person. Some people have enormous fast memory, 90% is current memory, only 10% is in the dead memory. But for me, it is the other way. But yes, you're right. There are two minds, conscious and subconscious, and we must always try to maximize our conscious mind. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarojji.
Okay, I think
Thank
Annie
you,
has a
sir.
question. Welcome. Annie has a question. Can I ask Annie to raise a question, please?
Yes, my question is that anything that a person does, medication, concentration, isn't that meditation also? You may not be physically sitting and meditating, but which is very difficult for me at least. But anything that I do with total dedication and concentration and get it done, isn't that meditation also?
Yeah, can I answer that question?
Yeah.
You are absolutely right, Ms. Annie. When you say that you are doing with dedication any kind of an activity, you will experience a sense of satisfaction, number one. You will not experience any kind of a tiredness. You'll not be tired either physically or mentally. You'll not be tired. You will start identifying yourself with a refreshed, rejuvenated kind of your own self. The moment these three things are happening within you, it means say you have meditated. Very straightforward, very simple. Now the question is the journey of this meditation. Whether this journey of the meditation you want to take it in terms of the materialistic aspect, or you want to take it in terms of your religious aspect, you want to take it in terms of your spiritual aspect. So the meditation could vary on various aspects, but meditation per se, once you have these three things which you experience in your own self, you would have meditated. If I'm doing a good job, I'm happy with myself, whatever work I am doing, I am finding myself rejuvenated and a sense of satisfaction is there within me, you have meditated. So it could be in the job, it could be in your profession, or it could be in your sports when you do, or when you do your hobbies, for example. It could be anything. So yes, you're right. In a way where you have put your 100% into that, and you have performed an activity instead of just sitting in one place, you did meditate. That's my take on that. So, Venkat Barla, you want to add anything, please?
Yes. Doing your work in this physical world and doing it so well, completely lost into repairing a machine. For example, if you are repairing a machine, or if you are teaching well in a classroom, you are completely lost into that, and it's a kind of a meditation. Nobody denies that. The point is, the end result of this teaching, the end result of repairing that machine is a outcome in this world, in this physical world. Meditation per se, all the books, all the literature, all the gurus that we teach, that we hear from them, by meditation, what they mean transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is transcending the physical world. Now, while repairing the machine also, you have transcended and then done your work so well. So Niranjan Garu rightly said it is meditation. You meditate in this. But the outcome is that you've repaired the machine well, and you have come back. Fine. I would also think in terms of doing nothing. I just keep on chanting. Okay, chanting also is like repairing a machine, chanting, and I guess lost into somewhere else. They say that it is possible to increase the time of thoughtlessness by more focused, and that is what tapasya means. Okay, so Valmiki did tapasya for so many years. Okay, it is a well accepted literature, but by doing tapasya, you will merge yourself into God, and you would realize. So therefore, the physical activity, doing the physical activity well in a focused way to get the results, is meditation in this physical world. Fine. Let us also understand the transcendental meditation. The word transcending means transcending or going away out from this physical world altogether. So you can't be repairing the machine, although you have lost into repairing the machine, focused so well, it is that, okay, that is your God, that machine happens to be your God, you have focused on your God and you have done it well. Fine, I am not denying. It is like telling two sides of the same coin. But transcendental gurus do not speak it like this. What they say is, like Ramakrishna Varu, for example, he sat at a place and meditated and left this world. That's how he died on his last day. So therefore, I would prefer to think that transcendental meditation is not doing your routine work more focusedly with 100% dedication. This is here, and transcendental meditation is migration from this world. Okay, let's keep that understanding. Thank you very much.
One more question. My kids, they are like, I think 20 and 24, both of them, a boy and a girl, both have taken all this transcendental meditation, all courses, and they do meditate, everything. Both are unhappy, but I don't do it, but I'm a happy person. So why is it so? That's my question now.
You're happy in this world. You're happy in this world. This world is a small fraction. This world is not even 1/1,000,000th of the whole. You are feeling you're happy because you feel all materialistic botherations are not there. Therefore, you're feeling you're happy in this world. But the bliss, the happiness is satisfaction or result of that satisfaction in this physical world.
Sir, we lost your connection. I'm not able to hear you. Yeah, we are back.
You do tapasya or meditation, that is acquisition of a bliss. Bliss is something different. It is not happiness. Happiness is fulfillment of physical needs or absence of needs. Okay, that is fine. You are into that and good enough. Maybe we can also think of, having fully agreed with you, we can also think of the transcendental meditation and the acquisition of bliss, which is much, much higher state than happiness coming through lack of frustration or physical things. This is not happiness at all. This is not happiness at all, because we are still thinking of this world. Good, we must think of this world. You may say that, sir, what is this? After all, we are in this world. You are talking of too much of Vedanta or too much of unattainable philosophy. What the use of that? And I am here, and as long as I am happy, good enough here. Good enough. Okay, do that.
I think maybe I want to add some points to that, sir. If Annie is saying that her kids are doing meditation and then they are not happy, then there is something you have to, give them some inputs in terms of techniques. Probably they should discuss with us sometime, and then we will try to understand it at a better level and have a one-on-one interaction so that we try to understand it a bit deeper. And then probably we can offer some kind of tips and techniques which they can follow and find the happiness with it. So if you're doing meditation and then you're not happy, there is something seriously to be understood as a part of the research. That's it. I would love to have an interaction with your kids.
I would like to add something, Niranjan Garu.
Yeah,
when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was in the second roundtable conference, he was participating and he was trying to get some rights for Indians. At that time, he received a phone call stating that his son died. He said, fine. He had put the phone, continued his discussions in roundtable conference, and came back with a thumping success, because of which we have voting rights. Indians have voting rights today. Now, he's more happy because of this. He's happier because of this. He is not unhappy because he lost his son. So it is a purpose for which you are dedicated. It matters as long as you are in this world. That's why the comparatives and relatives will come into picture. Now the sun, the round table and the voting rights, these differences won't exist in the transcendental meditation. Therefore, the bliss, by fulfilling the things here and being in the state of absence of frustrations, that we are calling it as happiness, we can call it as happiness. but you can also meditate, transcend to acquire a bliss. That is the whole purpose. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So the aspect is on the physical purposes and the kind of desires which are existing, the kind of a disturbance is happening there. But before I can discuss on those things, maybe we can have a separate session for that discussion. Mr. Dilip Garu, he wanted to add something, and then it's at 8:20. If all the group is okay, we can continue with that for another 5-10 minutes, and then we can close the session. Let's respect time, and time respects us. So Dilip Garu, please go ahead.
Actually, I wanted to tell 2 points. One was on the meditation side of it, that meditation is basically when you when you reach a stage where you become an observer of the mind. So there is a gap between, you create a gap between the real you and the mind. That is when you get into the observer state. It's like analogous to saying that I'm watching the clouds moving by. Clouds are the thought, or clouds are the mind, and there is a sky which is the real me, which is the background. So my focus is only on the background. The other analogy, what I wanted to do, people who want to do meditation, is imagine you're watching cars go by on a road, and the cars are analogous to thoughts which we are having. So if my mind is focusing only on the cars, then that is not meditation. So meditation means you focus on the gaps between the two cars, and slowly you don't see the cars at all. You just see the gap. So that is basically the meditation, which, as Dr. Venkat has elaborated so much, Yeah, what Annie has said, that she derives a lot of pleasure from working, that is kind of a total surrender to the work, That is more of akin to the Bhakti Marga. That is, you're so dedicated to the work on hand that you forget everything else, Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, good. So, any other questions we can take for another up to, we have 7 minutes. If you have questions, that's good, or any comments is a welcome, Dr. Venkat Barla. Anything else as a conclusion statement, or else I think we can close the session.
Yeah, it's a wonderful session to have realized how from the earlier Upanishadic talk, I think today we have done much more work than in the process of understanding, and definitely the idea of migration from the physical to metaphysical slowly is coming into us. And today's biggest take home is the parade ground children's play, that Leela which happens in us by the supreme power, and the business organization, top down and bottom up, which happens in the organization, which happens in the human body also. If it is seamless, if it is devoid of any imperfections, then you achieve enormous amount of success, either in the organization or in your personal life. So these are the learnings that we have had, and technically good that Dilip Garu has brought the names of these 16 parts. We owe this acknowledgement to them, and then he would post those 16 names to us. And Jayalakshmi Madam brought the 4 Mahavakyas. That is another good reminder that we have had. Good questions, and Dr. Bidlan, who is here, is also be telling that the session has been a learning experience to Dr. Bidlan. He is a postdoctoral fellow from Delhi Technological University. So we have wonderful people who have joined here. Thank you all. Good night. Shubhratri.
Okay, so then thank you all. We have a good time, maintain good health, have a nice, blissful weekend. Ponder on the questions of the Prashna Upanishad and have a great sleep. See you all soon. Bye. Thank you.